Always remember, the truth is the truth, whether you believe it or not. The lie needs your permission and participation to even exist. And the only one place that a lie can exist is in the minds of those who are foolish enough to believe it. You're in the 7 Club. You're in the 7 Club. All right, here we are. Welcome back, YouTube. We're back again with another one. And like I said before, I try to do these more frequently, more often, and I'm working on it, I promise. Right now, we're streaming live. On TikTok, we're streaming live. On YouTube, and we're ready to go. So we were just talking about cognitive dissonance, you guys, and how it's really impossible to tell someone about flat Earth in if you got only 10 minutes with a person, don't even bother. Just don't even bring it up because it's going to be counterproductive. You're going to look like a fool. They're going to walk away. They're not even going to give it a second thought, and they're done with you. But if you got a good hour's time, to really lay out the groundwork, then it might actually make some sense to people. I had a guy in my band. This is a little personal story here for you, a little Jim. But I had a guy that was in my band. And I remember, I've had the band longer than I've been a flat earther, actually, probably about a year longer or possibly more. And I've been rocking out with the guys, and of course came across flat earth and we're still doing our music thing. I kind of keep those worlds, separate. And one day, though, they noticed my TikTok channel had been, growing and they went to go check out the content. And of course, anyway, they had brought it up one day at practice. It turned into kind of like a kind of a thing, a little bit. But then just the other day, my buddy, the other guitarist that's in the band, he told me, he goes, "Look, man, when I first came across your channel and, I thought it was a satire channel. I thought you were just joking and just trying to get views and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny. Yeah. And then I went through a few more videos and I thought, wait a minute, is he serious? And you're like, oh my, he goes, dude, there's a process of finding your channel. It looks like a typical TikTok channel, like, that it's just funny stuff, nonsense, whatever. But then you find out it's not satire. Then it starts making sense. And he's like, bro, I had to just stop watching because you were making too much sense. He's like, honestly, I don't want to live in a world that I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to, but that's a safe place for people to be. And we've talked about that a lot because I've told a lot of people that one of my major missions in content creation is to appeal to a couple of groups. Okay. I want to appeal to truthers in general. I want to make content for truthers. I think that truthers need to revolutionize the entertainment industry, if you will. Now, when I started making content, I said, I don't want to be an entertainer. I don't want this to be entertaining. The truth is serious and we should take it serious. But then I would start putting, I can't not be myself. So I started putting jokes in stuff and whatever. And I said, you know what? No, let's do it in an entertaining fashion because, we look at the entertainment industry as is, and we see symbolism, we see vile content, we see a doctrine of men being pressed upon the people, not only, but a satanic doctrine and ideologies being implanted and programmed in movies, TV, and all these things. And think of the bukus of support and money through the cabal, the great deception, the great powers of this world, the god of the air, if you will, Lucifer himself. You think of all the support that goes into that. My wife and I, we were watching a television show or TV, or we were watching a movie or something, and I thought, think of how many movies are made. You've got this group of actors, and there's all these movies, and you're thinking, how, like, these movies are a couple hours long a piece, and think of the time it took to film this, like all the takes and all the scenes and all the locations, and you'll never run out of movies. In fact, if you started to try to watch, if you spent all your time just trying to watch every movie ever made, you would never get to the bottom of it, and they're constant. So we have the entertainment industry that's pumping poison into the world constantly. And then you've got your awakening that's happening with people. And they're becoming so detached from the world. They're like, I don't belong anywhere. It's like this world, everything's fake and everything sucks. And it's just, Satan's got his hands in everything, and it's just so corrupt, and you can't even escape the toxicity in food and water and just all these things, and medicine and the big pharma industry, then big tech, and then you got, Hollywood. And it's like you're surrounded by this deception, this fake world, and you want entertainment, but see, the entertainment industry as it stands, people think they are being entertained, but that's not the case. With the entertainment industry, the thing is you are actually entertaining, okay, spirits, ideologies, frames of belief, entities, even demonic forces. It's an open door, and as you entertain those things, then you leave yourself subject to manipulation, programming, dangerous ideologies, frameworks of belief. We watch movies and you see just the subtleties of it, like the show Friends. It's like, I'll be there for you. It's like, oh yeah, this is a fun little show, but like embedded within it, it's like you got this group of friends who, by the end of the entire show, they've all dated each other, they've all had kids with each other, married, divorced, and it's just a whole wreck. Things that granted happen in life, but like, it's just like you go about it like, huh, well, yeah, this is normal, or How I Met Your Mother, a harmless show, right? But is it? It promotes alcoholism in a very subtle way, but it's just like, okay, this is our day. Every day we get up and every night is going to end at the bar with a drink in my hand. Like, just the subtleties and frameworks of television these days. It's crazy. So with the truther world, we can re-revolutionize the entertainment industry, create a culture and a place where the people who don't want to deal with all that stuff anymore can actually deal with listening to something they want to listen to, or watch something they want to watch. Anyway, I've rambled on enough about that. We've got to get into the topic at hand. Now, this is kind of, and we'll just jump right into it, because I'm not going to get all super technical here. We're going to try to do this in as much layman terms as possible. And before we get going, I'm going to check the YouTube. We've got Choke 'em, choke ma, saying Satan's little season is upon us. That's a very interesting and growing topic right now. That we are in Satan's little season right now. Now, it's hard to argue with, the little, see, I don't claim anything because I don't know nothing. Here's what I know. I know for a fact that biblical prophecy is unfolding. There's, on one hand, it's unfolding undeniably. And on the other hand, you wonder, are they manipulating these things to make us think that prophecy is unfolding in a way? Now, let me just spin it to you like this. Let's just say that we are in Satan's little season. Well, let's talk about what areas are in deception right now. I mean, we're being taxed to no end, right? I just went and paid property taxes on my car that I've owned for for a while. It's like I'm still paying you for my car yearly. It's like, what? You know, the pharmaceutical industry, you know, all holistics was just thrown to the side. All natural medicines were just cast away, kicked over, and like they don't matter when we have everything we need right here in creation on earth. Every medical, mental, physical, like we could have it all, you know, through God and his creation with modern, you know, or with holistic medicine. But now modern pharmaceuticals, the petroleum, you know, based pharmaceutical industry has taken over, and it's just, you know, insane. Okay, what about the space exploration stuff, the Earth? You know, we've been deceived about that. We don't even know where we are, where we came from, and you know, if you listen to the world, and grow up just all by the narrative, okay, you grow up on television. Okay, television was your education system and the public schools. I mean, there's deception everywhere. They're erasing history. There's just so many things going on, and the deception is so thick and at every level that, you know, I think those who say we're in Satan's little season build quite a good case when you really look at things. Okay, it's pretty wild. Okay, now we're going to talk about this here: electrostatics, effects on atomic clocks, and they match the predictions of gravity. And we'll try to go as layman's with this as possible. But the major question here is it gravity or is it electromagnetism? So the idea of gravity, the current model of gravity, is the Einsteinian idea of gravity, which he says is the bending and warping of space-time. Now, you guys know my opinion on that. I think it's pretty wild. I mean, if you just look at the definition of space-time, it debunks itself immediately. So it's the idea of space and time, right? The idea of time and three-dimensional space regarded as fused in a four-dimensional continuum. So we live in the three spatial dimensions, right? When it talks about space in the definition of space-time, it's literally talking about just this area right here that I'm boxing in. Just nothing, just space, the space, right? And then time, okay, you would think it's based off of the human construct, the time we developed based off of the position of the sun relative to the observer, right? What we got from the sundial, right? That's time in my mind. Well, when it comes to space-time, they have a different idea of time, okay? And they measure that through these atomic clocks. So this is an atomic clock. Now, you don't really hear much about atomic clocks, right? We heard that there was this experiment that took place and it proved time dilation, right? And now we know that time is now a fabric within, it's the fourth dimension, they say. Now, how could this idea of time be a fourth dimension when dimensions are spatial? So we live in three, okay? We can move forward, backward, side to side, up and down, and all around. I'm moving within my spatial dimensions, okay? Now they're saying that there's a fourth, which is time, like a fabric, moving down into the center of mass. See, a lot of people think that, you know, I hear a lot of flat earthers say, well, Newton's theory is superseded, which it is in a case, but truthfully, and I'm not trying to give Globers any kind of grace here whatsoever, but it didn't necessarily get superseded in the fact that it's not completely thrown out. Basically, Newton was the what? Okay, the mass attracts mass, which that in itself is redonkulous. Einstein came about with the why of it. Like, okay, here's why. Because the gravitational mass, it causes time and space to bend and warp and create a four-dimensional continuum down into the center of mass. So Newton's idea of mass attracting mass, it still stands in modern physics, modern science. It's just, why does that happen? And that's where Einstein came about, right? But he reified several constructs in science. He reified the solar system, right? The heliocentrism. He reified galaxy clusters and reified all this with his theories of relativity: general relativity, which is the bending and warping of space-time, and special relativity, which is relative motion and things like that. So the whole thing is, though, could this whole concept, could this whole idea be something completely different than what we've been told? Now, it's all the whole answer is right here in these atomic clocks. What is an atomic clock? First and foremost, well, it's the cesium oscillation. Okay, we'll show you that real quick. Okay, I got a video pulled up here, and it'll give you a quick little demonstration of what that is.
Now, let's shift our focus to atomic clocks and their exceptional precision. Atomic clocks use the resonance frequencies of atoms as their resonator. This happens when atoms absorb or emit microwave electromagnetic radiation during a quantum transition, resulting in an energy change. One of the primary advantages of using atoms as a resonator is their...
First of all, did you hear that? So the resonance frequency of cesium is what the atomic clock that was used in the experiment to prove time dilation was used. Okay. Electromagnetism. Here, I'll rewind that so we can hear that again. Listen.
In an energy change. Atoms' optional precision. Atomic clocks use the resonance frequencies of atoms as their resonator. This happens when atoms absorb or emit microwave electromagnetic radiation during a quantum transition, resulting in an energy change. One of the primary advantages of using atoms as a resonator is their extreme consistency in resonance frequency. For instance, every cesium-133 atom resonates at exactly 9,192,631,770 cycles per second.
What? Okay, already they're throwing out ridiculous numbers. Okay, so these atomic clocks, they use the resonance frequency of cesium. So cesium, it oscillates or vibrates at 9,192,631,770. That's a uniform baseline number of times that cesium atom will oscillate or vibrate. Right? Now imagine 9 billion, over 9 billion per second. See, look, that number in half is crazy per second. Just the very end of it, the 770. You ever tried to play a song at 770 beats per minute, let alone second? Oh my gosh, that's so fast. So they've claimed that they have clocked that. Okay, so they've claimed that they've clocked that. They know how to measure time dilation now based solely upon the oscillation of cesium atoms. So here's the clock. Okay, now we'll move on. Tesla. Remember, one of the great Tesla quotes that everyone repeats is that if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Okay, so Tesla was saying this a long time ago. And then even Einstein came behind him and said, well, they existed around the same time, supposedly. But he says, concerning matter, we have all been wrong. What we have called matter is really energy, whose vibration has been lowered to be perceivable to the senses. There is no matter. There is only light and sound. So the idea of wave-particle duality in quantum physics, the idea that atoms are these little solid particles, basically that was thrown out of the window in the 1900s. They say, no, this is just vibrating light. So it's reality itself, okay, is an electromagnetic phenomenon. And remember, the oscillation of these cesium atoms is an electromagnetic phenomenon. And currently, from what I know, currently electromagnetism can only be affected by electromagnetism in that way. So it would have to be an electromagnetic phenomenon. Now here's one oscillation, okay? So 9 billion whatever per second. All right. This is the experiment. Okay, this is called the Hafele-Keating experiment, and this is what was done to prove, okay, time dilation. Now, I also have a video pulled up, a quick little video explaining that experiment, and we'll dig into it and dive into it. But let's just hear what the current understanding is of how we have proven time dilation. Here you go.
$3 million at $2,300,000.
In 1971, Joe Haefele and Richard Keating put the theory to the test. They flew 4 atomic clocks around the world to compare the passage of time on an airplane with time on the ground.
I don't trust these professors who get up and scribble in front of blackboards claiming they understand it all, because I've made too many measurements where they don't come up with the numbers they say.
Richard had told me that in all the previous work he had done, he had never seen the effect of time dilatation.
I hadn't.
Had never seen it.
I knew what was being predicted and that, but it always seemed to me that the best proof is to measure it.
Well, hopefully it's going to be of the order of 1 minute.
To see how time slows down with speed, they had to fly all the way around the world in the original experiment. Today's atomic clocks are more accurate, so the warping of time should be apparent even on an ordinary transatlantic flight.
Champagne for you, sir?
Yes, one for me and one for my friend.
Certainly. About 5 minutes past 4 local time, which is 5 minutes past 9 English time.
Einstein said time is that which is indicated by a clock. I think I know what a clock is, therefore I think I know what time is.
Seem to be following an unbelievably constant track.
En route, they collected data from the pilot, then put it into Einstein's equations to predict the time change.
We have accumulated so far a change of 34 nanoseconds. And broadly speaking, it seems to confirm the original prediction. The clock will have gained somewhere between 37 and 40 nanoseconds when we land in about half an hour's time.
Suppose you would live for 100 years and you would spend your entire life on one of these aircraft flying around the world. You could expect to be younger than people who did.
Now, real quick, the comment that popped up on the screen: gravity is density buoyancy in our electromagnetic environment. Good stuff. Yes, exactly. It's a plethora of stuff. So big G, right? They came up with this measurement of big G. They said through the Cavendish experiment, but that was ridiculous. They hung 2 lead balls, and over time those lead balls just kind of swung a little bit, not swung, but turned on a freaking fishing string or something. Like, and you're going to measure that and come up with big G. All right. And then they call it just bending and warping of space-time. That's big G. But no, there's so many things in effect here, you guys. There's electromagnetism, the actual magnetic field, electrostatic potential that's in the atmosphere, which we'll get to that too. Relative density, buoyancy, air pressure, the very gas pressure that we're in, everything, and they just chalk it all up as this one thing.
Did not do that by about 1/10,000th of a second.
The UTC, USNO Master.
To measure exactly how much time changed relative to time on Earth, the clock on the airplane had been synchronized with the international standard at the start of the trip. Then it was compared to the same standard when it landed in the United States.
If we put other cables in here, that changes by about...
The clock on the plane disagreed with the ones on the ground by 40 billionths of a second, just as Einstein predicted.
40 billionths of a second, just as Einstein predicted. Now, you hear that, you guys, okay? Now, all of a sudden, you're gonna hear that, all right? And then you're gonna think, oh, wow, how on earth could anybody predict such a thing? Wow, the atomic clock was off 40 billionths of a second, and it was just as Einstein predicted. Oh my God, it wasn't just as Einstein predicted. You know what his prediction was? He said, I bet that if somebody was at high altitude moving in the air, that they would age faster than someone down on Earth. That's your 40 billionths of a second prediction? What? That's not a prediction. That's saying something insane, and then these guys reifying that later. Okay, now we'll get into more of this because I tried to find, okay, when I heard about this experiment, I'm like, okay, cool. Now let's look into see what other kind of factors are at play here because I want to know where they took off from, what time, and where the sun was in relation. Because, they went against the spin of the earth, away from the sun, the opposite way of the sun, and then with the spin with the sun. So if they're in the sun this entire time, it's going to give them a different result on that atomic clock anyway. Or if they're in more sunlight, period, depending on what altitude they're at. Now, I don't know if they flow the exact same altitude. I would hope so. I would hope they would be at the same altitude in the same place relative to the tropic as well. But who knows? Who knows if they did the exact thing or not? Because you can't find the details of this experiment. All you can find is the date. You can't find where this was done from. You can't find the time that it, or maybe you can find where, but you can't find anything but the date. So anyway, back to this experiment. All right. Now, take a look at this. So it says that this was a test done for the theory of relativity. Joseph C. Hefele, a physicist, and Richard Keating, an astronomer. They took 4 cesium beam atomic clocks aboard commercial airliners. They flew twice around the world, it says. First eastward, then westward. Okay, and compared the clocks in motion to stationary clocks, right? Now let's take a look at the details of these experiments. So on the eastward travel, the plane's clock was behind about 59 nanoseconds, which is 59 billionths of a second. Westward travel, the plane's clock was ahead by about 273 nanoseconds. Now, we're looking at this, 59 billionths of a second. That's 0.000000059 seconds. If you look at it in terms of fractions, look at this. So we're already talking about just ridiculous numbers that no one's ever going to verify. You're not going to be able to afford an atomic clock to even, they make atomic wristwatches now that look like a juice box on your wrist. Like it's terrible. But anyway, you're not going to be able to afford an atomic clock to verify any of this. You won't be able to find out what time they took off, where the sun was relative to their travel, how long they were in the sun, their altitude of flight. You can't find any of those those details. All right. Now, they say it's the bending and warping of space-time. This is the idea. Now, imagine that in a more three-dimensional, that it's fabric like that all around the Earth. All right. Now, I beg to differ. Because here is from Richard Feynman's lecture. This is the electrostatic gradient in the atmosphere. And I believe that's what causes our downward vector. Now remember, gravity is a plethora of things. It's electromagnetism, it's relative density, it's buoyancy, it's air pressure, all these things acting together to cause these phenomenon. Now, somebody was doing a live the other day talking about they can test gravity with a balloon. Take a balloon, blow it up with hot air. What's it going to do? It defies gravity with hot air, with all. Now, here are some studies that you guys should absolutely look up, man. And I saved the best for last, but look at this. An electrostatic solution. This is a peer-reviewed study, by the way. So if anybody's like, is it peer-reviewed? It was. Now, an electrostatic solution for the gravity force and the value of G. My buddy Dr. Flat sent me this, and I'm like, dude, thank you. So let's read this. The abstract says, gravity is electrostatic. This paper substantiates this claim by deriving through basic electrostatic relationships a simple equation for gravity forces that includes an expression for the gravity constant G, big G. In terms, okay, to clarify, you know, those of you also flat earthers who say gravity doesn't exist, I think that's not the way to put it. When you say gravity doesn't exist, you know what the Globers are going to do. They're going to come straight at you, and they're going to say, "What do you mean? Look, watch. It's right here. It's right here. What are you talking about?" You know, by saying gravity doesn't exist, people aren't going to understand it. We don't have a problem with little g. We don't have a problem with 9.8 meters per second squared. Things fall. You know, we can't deny that. Obviously, we have beef with big G. Yeah, we got beef with big G. All right, the big gangster, gravity. We got beef with that. We got beef with bending and warping of space-time. That can't be isolated. Not to mention, you guys, these atomic clocks that were in the airplane, they were not in a Faraday cage. They weren't isolated away from electromagnetism, which is proven to affect atomic clocks, the oscillation of cesium atoms. Now, the expression for the gravity constant G in terms of electrostatic parameters applied to interaction between two separated subatomic particles in open space. The derivation of G results in value that falls within the range of the currently best known and adapted empirical measurements. The general electrostatic gravity equation next derived is applicable for all physical entities, however small or large. See, because people say, yeah, gravity is actually electrostatics at the quantum level, at the atomic level, but it's not at the macro level. It's not tell me this. First of all, science, real science, is scalable. Real physics is scalable, okay? Now, this fake stuff, when down at the atomic, subatomic level, when we're dealing with particles, if it's electromagnetism at that, or electrostatic energy at that level, well, then scale it up. Now, I always ask people, at what point does electrostatics turn into gravity? At what point does electromagnetism then trade off and decide to be bending and warping of space? Because it wasn't at the small scale. Well, right here. However, small or large, thus presenting a comprehensive new way of perceiving and understanding gravity forces. A variety of other important conclusions as also follow. For example, the electrostatic approach helps to explain why experimenters who use different physical layouts may continue to find different empirical values for G, big G, regardless of the precision of their measurements. Okay, so that's an electrostatic solution for the gravity force and the value of big G. It's a January 1997 article. You guys can check this out. It's by Morton F. Spears. Okay, here's the link as well. If you want to screenshot that link and retap it out, or you can just type in the name of that, and bam, you've got yourself an awesome PDF to use in your flat smacking journeys. Now, the next one, gravity as the second order relativistic manifestation of electrostatic force. Okay? This one says, it is well known that magnetic force between two current-carrying conductors is relativistic manifestation of net electrostatic force between relativity moving electrons and protons of the two wires. On similar grounds, but with more accurate considerations, example of second-order relativistic considerations. It is shown here that gravitational force between two bodies is in fact due to relativistic manifestation. If net electrostatic force between protons and revolving electrons and atoms of two bodies, special relativity provides a bridge between electricity and magnetism in somewhat similar way as described in the paper, it is shown that once again it is the special relativity which provides the much sought-after link between electrostatic force and gravitational force. If magnetism is the first-order velocity-dependent effect of moving electrons in conductor gravitation and the second-order acceleration-dependent effect of revolving electrons in atoms, the new proposed gravitation theory seems to be well in accordance with gravity behavior. An example, it correctly predicts that gravity is a long-range attractive force proportional to masses and follows the inverse square law and is transmitted with the velocity of light. So it got a little consensus there toward the end. But right here's the most important. Electrostatic time dilation and redshift. So reading this article, I found some very, very interesting pieces. By the way, if you need to screenshot that, go ahead. Electrostatic time dilation and redshift. We'll go over a couple of big highlighted areas in this. Could there be an electrical equivalence principle from which the electrostatic time dilation ensues? The answer to the question is affirmative. Electrostatic experiments performed in an accelerated frame would produce identical results as electrostatic experiments with a single charged particle or particles of the same type performed in a uniform electric field. To this end, let us consider that a cabin rocket in deep space, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, reading on, this right here definitely stood out to me. That's why I highlighted this part. But it says, it is impossible to distinguish the fictitious inertial force from the real electrical force in a local region containing a single particle. Now, isn't that funny, though? I always found it funny when people argue between the fictitious force or fake force or pseudo force versus real force. I mean, I think it's just right there plainly in the language. You know, gravity is a pseudo force. It's a fictitious force. What's pseudo? What's fictitious? It's not real. It's fake, right? And then there's the real force of electrostatics, right? So people are like, no. Pseudo doesn't mean pseudo here, or fictitious doesn't mean fictitious here. It's just like when they say scientific theory. You know, they're like, theory doesn't really mean theory here. But it does, though. And you know how they get around it, you guys. This is literally how they get around it. They've got two G's. They got little g and they got big G. They got two explanations for gravity. So how they weasel around it is they say, well, duh, watch, 9.8 meters per second square. Bam, gravity's proven. So there you go. But it's the reification of this fourth dimension that has never been tested, isolated, let alone experimented on in the least. So it has not been proven. So gravity, as told by Einstein, is not real. It's preposterous. It's crazy that we even believed it. So this is they hide behind this. It's proven, right? That spacetime's bending and warping. Must be the leprechauns. Right? So moving along, and like I said, I'm just learning a lot of this stuff. I'm no physicist, but it is funny that somebody can just stumble upon these ideas and start putting things together. Right? It's wild. Gravitational field, as discussed, an attempt to literature to explain null results of the two electrostatic redshift experiments by making Resner-Nordstrom metric has been shown to be invalid. We cannot emphasize, right here, I should have highlighted this, but we cannot emphasize the performance of the proposed experiment with ionic clocks in a static electric field to confirm the electrostatic time dilation effect presented in this work. Such a confirmation would also support, I like this right here, the unified theory of gravitation and electromagnetism. You know that there's already a unified theory. It's called the Einstein equivalence principle. But here's the conclusion. In the present work, we have shown, employing classical electromagnetic theory, that positively charged objects age faster at high potential points. Now, do you understand what that means? We need to highlight this right here, and I'm going to show you why this part is important. Do you understand? Listen to me. In the present work, we have shown, employing classical electromagnetic theory, that positively charged objects age faster at high potential points. Okay? Than those at low potential points in an electric field. Now remember that, and remember equivalence. Unified theory of gravitation and electromagnetism. Remember, indistinguishable. Okay, indistinguishable. Now, remember, they said in high potential points. So what relation are they making here? If things age faster in high potential points, and it's equivalent to the prediction of big G at those same altitudes, you understand? So let's put it this way. Up here at 300 volts, which is not very high. It extends 100 volts per meter. Ground is 0, neutral, no charge, right? And then the potential rises as you go up, 100 volts per meter. That's the electrostatic potential in the atmosphere, which causing a downward electric current. That's where your vector comes from, right? Why things fall down, because people are like, if it's just buoyancy and density, see, that's why I'm saying there's so many things at play for big G that people, you try to argue one point and they'll say, well, but this, but this. And it kind of makes us look like the crazy ones sometimes, because on one day we're saying electrostatics, next day we're saying relative density, next time we're saying air pressure, but it's all of these things together, right? Creating that phenomenon that's been measured that then is used for the measurement of big G, right? So when they took this atomic clock to altitude at the higher potential elevation, right? It gave that same result. Time moved faster, aka the cesium inside of the atomic clock began to then oscillate at higher rates. The resonance frequency would rise to match the general relativistic prediction at that altitude. So they look at gravity as being a gradient as well. So their gravity gradient is the further you get from Earth, the less gravitational effects. Our electrostatic gradient is the further you get from Earth, the higher potential. Higher potential causes a faster resonance frequency for cesium. But then it wasn't isolated, electrostatics wasn't isolated during this experiment with a Faraday cage to shield it from any electromagnetic frequencies. All right? Any electrostatic potential that was in the atmosphere. So this happened before this happened. And now we're stuck. We're stuck in a place where stuff like this gets kind of thrown out. Why isn't this being shouted from the rooftops? Well, you know what? Maybe it is, and we just don't know it. In the context of electromagnetism, the EEP refers to the Einstein equivalence principle, which essentially states that within a freely falling reference frame, local experiments like those involving electromagnetism cannot detect the presence of gravitational field, meaning the laws of physics include electromagnetism should appear the same regardless of the gravitational. So let's go back to this little backdrop here. Gravity or electromagnetism. Now remember, the oscillation of cesium atoms themselves is an electromagnetic phenomenon. That's electromagnetism right there occurring in your face. Quantum electromagnetism. Now, have you guys seen the interview of Neil deGrasse Tyson? In fact, I might just pull that up real quick and show what they're doing right now with modern science is they are slowly but surely beginning to replace Einstein's theory. So gravity is not a fundamental thing in the universe. All right, so Neil deGrasse Tyson himself actually had an interview on YouTube. And I'm going to try to find that real quick. And he says, gravity is not a fundamental thing in the universe. I'm gonna look here and see if we got any more comments. There we go. Street Scope. Hello. How are you doing? I'm gonna try to react to some more TikTok comments as well. You guys, it's funny. I made the exact postulation in college when discussing the GUT. Yes. I mean, it's unavoidable, especially if you're dealing with, oh, right here. Check the,
The universe.
Wow.
Man, Jenna.
Let's keep that between us.
No, yeah, don't
Everybody else, you didn't hear that? You didn't hear that because I don't want to turn on the internet. You know there's no such thing as gravity now. You know that, right? Jan 11 told me. There's no such thing as gravity.
So I would say there is such a thing as gravity. It's just if we imagine quantum interactions like threads sewn between quantum interactions, out of those threads like embroidery from a macroscopic distance, it might look like there's a black hole event horizon, for instance, out in space-time. But if I look very closely, I realize, oh, it's just sewn together quantum entangled threads.
Janet, you're saying nothing is real.
Yeah, man.
Is love real?
Reality isn't overrated, but realism is.
Janet,
reality isn't overrated, but realism is. So we experience reality, right? Remember the couple of quotes that we went over right when we started this stream is that if you want to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, then you've unlocked the secrets of the universe, or that there is no matter, so to speak. It's all energy. It's all light and sound. Literally, down to the smallest particle, you find out it's oscillating light. It's energy, right? So everything is electrostatic. Everything is electromagnetic. Reality itself is. So any phenomenon that's occurring in reality would be electromagnetic because just everything is down to its core. People are like, well, rubber and plastic doesn't have any charge. So how would it but it does because it's made of frequency, like everything is. And that's where your simulation theory guys pop in. It's like, wait a second, we've gone down to the quantum level, which, mark my words, I showed that video to say they are replacing Einstein's theory of relativity, this idea of a Newtonian world, right? This very material world, right? And now they're going more quantum. Now they're going down to the quantum physics. Basically, is a gatekeep. Honestly, if you think about it, you remember that documentary that came out, What the Bleep Do We Know? And it showed a bunch of really cool stuff with quantum entanglement and quantum particles and how two particles or one particle can exist in two places at once, or the observer effect where it showed the electrons shooting through the two slits and they tried to turn on their observation instrumentation, and once they did, the particles would even go back in time and go back through the slit in particle form as they weren't observing. It was waveform, so they said, oh, wave particle duality, we're going to call this the observer effect, where particles act as waves until they're observed and then they manifest into a particle. And it's kind of like we live in this intelligently designed universe that is intelligent itself and knows when we're watching, and it reacts to our observation, right? So reality itself is intelligently designed, and these scientists, they start to figure that out. They start to see the code of things. They put two and two together. They see the code that this is a created realm created by a very intelligent designer, and he's made the reality itself is artificially I'm not going to say artificially, but reality itself is intelligent. It has God's intelligence in it. So it's kind of like we live in this realm that is masquerading as a physical world. But in reality, we're living in a simulated version of a higher vibrational reality that we've been created with these senses, right? These senses interact with reality as we know it. So science has started to figure that out. And they also know that it's biblical prophecy that knowledge will increase. We will start to uncover things and we're now starting to look deeper. We're not given the instrumentation that they're given. Even, you think about this. And the big time scientists, the governmental scientists, the gatekeeps, they have microscopes that go I mean, so many times zoomed in. They've got the instrumentation and the funds to support that. Us, when it comes to either going down to the quantum level or even looking up at the cosmic level, we can't afford. Uh-oh. Getting a TikTok flag here. I'm wondering why my TikTok's only got 9 people in it. They must have cracked me off the flip, man. But, you wonder. You think about getting a telescope that NASA has. Good luck affording that. Or you think of getting a microscope that quantum physicists have. Good luck. You're not going to be able to afford it. But we are looking into things. We are putting 2 and 2 together. A lot of the research are from useful idiots who just so happen to find God's design. And it's like, oh, what do we do now? Well, we can't publicize this in such a fashion. So let's take over the quantum physics realm and have our gatekeep to where no one figures out. And if they do figure out about intelligent design, let's throw other stuff out there. Let's throw the Anunnaki out there. Let's throw ancient alien, ancient astronaut theories. Let's throw out simulation theory. Let's say that maybe we were created, but it would have to be by an intelligent race of super aliens that created this world as a simulation, or we're in a video game by some higher beings, or they have their ways, and those are called. I want you to visualize something. Gatekeeps are in layers. It's like it's a sifting process. So they got their initial big narrative. The initial narrative is the consensus, what's programmed usually through the television, through the, through the media and stuff like that. That's your initial first layer of deception, right? Now, if you somehow fall through that and you're not buying that surface level, well, they've got another layer down beneath. Okay. So you fall through this and it's like, okay, now you're going to land here, which is aliens, strange anomalies in Antarctica, secret government testing because they have alien craft and Area 51 type underground bases in Antarctica and stuff like that, right? That's that level. Then you fall through that, right? And then they got to gatekeep there by saying, okay, ancient astronaut theorists and simulation theory and they kind of give you a little bit, but they distract you off on a whole other path. What they don't want you to know is that we live in the biblical world. We live in the biblical earth, and there are no outer space aliens that came here and sunk down into our oceans and built, bases down there. Now there may be sub-aquatic, layers with beings there, I just don't think that they're from outer space. Then we have inner earth people. But it's just a series of gatekeeping. Okay. So anyway, I'll react to some comments. Yes, and the biblical earth is a sphere, dude. That's what Jay Major said. Jay, you know better than that, man. Hey, Jay, you've been around this topic long enough to know, okay? It's definitely not a sphere, my brother. You need to look into that a little deeper. Definitely don't do your bias research. Most of the anti-flat earthers, their research consists of this. They're like, I did research flat earth. Well, what'd you do? Well, I typed in YouTube. Here, I'm going to show you what, I'm going to show Jay real quick. You want to see, Jay, what your guys' research looks like? Because I'll show you, no problem. It typically goes something like this, and I'll show you here. Let me pull up my present so you guys can see my screen. All right. So here's what you do. You go to the search bar. You say, okay, why the earth is not flat. Boom. Here's my flat earth research. Ooh, who's this guy? Professor Dave? He's a professor. He's way smarter than me because he's a professor. Then you click it.
Let me show you why I stopped paying for all my other sample libraries. This is Arcade by Output. This thing has sound.
You get your little...
It's Professor Dave, and I want to show you the world.
He knows a lot about the science stuff. Professor Dave explains.
Throughout this astronomy series, we've learned quite a bit about every object you could hope to see in the night sky, as well as many others that you can't. So how does all of this fit in with the understanding held by the common public? For one thing, just the way that an understanding of chemistry and biochemistry makes it easy to refute things like alternative medicine, the understanding of astronomy we have just gained will make it easy to refute similarly alternative cosmological models, most notably the present fad that is the flat Earth model. There exists a community of folks who believe that, contrary to everything the human species has learned over the past few centuries, the world is not spherical, but is instead flat, and is also the center of the universe. A knee-jerk reaction to this is often one of disbelief and even mockery, but rather than go that route, let's consider this model in a rigid...
So, Jay Major, he put that laughing face talking about how we believe the Earth is not a spinning ball and that it is in the center of the universe. So, using your own science, though, Jay Major, they talked about they looked out to the very vast far ends of space, and we know how that works. Spectroscopy, right? Talking about red shift, blue shift on things either accelerating away from us or towards us, and that's what color the star falls in the color spectrum, right? Red shift, blue shift. It's just colors, man. But anyway, that's their theory of how they know. Well, they look to the cosmic background radiation, the cosmic microwave background radiation, right? And it shows an X, the axis of evil, right? That X formation coming out in all these directions, showing that we are the center. When you go off of that science, using that method, we are in the center. Now, what your model does, or your lack of a model, because you can't isolate gravity, you can't show us how and why a selenilian eclipse works, you can't show us and tell us why 70% of the Earth is in sunlight on one day of the year, because 99% of the population is, and the only way to do that is to make 70% of the globe in light. You can't model a vacuum next to gas pressure without a container. So anyway, besides all that, they proved that we are in the center using their own methods, their own science. Then they had to come up with the reason. It's kind of like with they had to come up with a reason why not. It's like, oh, okay, expansion theory. Well, we're going to have to assume now. Remember, the results, the data show we are in the center. We are geocentric. That's the data. Now, the explanation, the explain away is, well, you know what? Maybe instead the universe is expanding in all directions from every point. Kind of like dots on a balloon. Let's draw dots on a balloon and blow it up and pretend you're on one of those dots. Right? And that's reification. That's a fallacy. If the data contradicts something, you just come up with a reason why it doesn't. You know, that's what the Globers, that's what modern science does, man. You know, and then just like with the Michelson-Morley, you know, they used interferometry to detect motion of the Earth, rotation of the Earth, and they came up null and void. So then they had to come up with the retraction or expansion of the apparatus, saying that, oh, well, because of relative motion, because of relativity, it's not going to appear like we're moving. And the apparatus must have shrunk and gave us that result. The apparatus, what they were, the interferometer must have squeezed or stretched to give their, man, come on, bro. That's their explanation, is the apparatus contracted. It shrunk or something. That matter just squeezed. That's insanity.
Academic way. Whether the Earth is flat or round, we should be able to demonstrate it and show how all astronomical phenomena make sense in one model.
So Tristan says, doesn't the Cavendish experiment demonstrate gravity isolated? No, because the problem with that is that you're on the Earth that supposedly has it coming in all directions. So then you have your two pieces of mass, your two lead balls. But the issue is, what about the big giant lead ball underneath the two lead balls in their framework? So they believe that the Earth is a big old sphere that's attracting mass. So they hang two spheres of lead over top of that big mass. You're getting a calculation for big G. You're getting a number for big G. Well, now you're going to use the number from the two hanging lead balls for your number of big G all around the Earth, right? In this globe framework. How did you isolate away from the big G that's pulling on the Earth to get a measurement of it's a paradox. The whole experiment is paradoxical, but the whole experiment makes no sense. It makes no sense. And it wasn't that the two hanging lead balls pulled toward each other, as probably predicted. I can't say for sure if they predicted that or not, but it was two lead balls on a string and they turned slightly. Now you go hang two lead balls on a string and put it in a place that won't have any wind. It's going to turn. You know, you've got the magnetic field, you've got electrostatics, you've got even the sun, even electromagnetic energy from the daylight versus nighttime. You got all these different things to factor in. And they weren't hung, they were hung in a vacuum, yeah. Okay, cool. But were they hung in a Faraday cage? Because I would be interested in seeing that experiment isolated from all electromagnetic. But even then, you know, there's things that are going to hold electromagnetic property just because it is electromagnetic in nature. Because it's made of exactly that. And there's just no way to isolate gravity for an experiment like that. There's no way to do it. And you can't even put your finger on it, let alone isolate it. You have to know what something is before you can even isolate it in the first place, or manipulate it, or change it in any way. I would love to see an experiment where they've unbent and unwarped space-time. It's kind of like with electrostatic levitation, or just electrogravitics and anti-gravity, you know, concepts. They can be demonstrated, you know, in different ways. Magnetism defies gravity, and different the repelling force of magnetism, the repelling force of electromagnetism, and electrostatics. All these concepts have been brought to life. You know, when it comes to anti-gravity, these ideas, they've all been brought to life. But one, and that was the warp drive, right? So they've made craft that are anti-gravity craft using electrostatic levitation, electrostatic propulsion. But when it comes to the warp drive, which that was a theoretical concept, that they could create a craft that manipulated actual gravity, you know, as told by Einstein, that unbent and unwarped space-time and reversed it for a repelling action and caused the thing to levitate and to propel and to move around. They said we could manipulate space-time that way. Well, that remains a theory. It's never been recreated or constructed and tested or scaled in any way. But the same phenomenon, the same idea of what they had in their mind, of what that would look like, of what bending and molding gravity would look like. They've recreated that phenomenon, but guess what kind of propulsion it is? Electrostatic. So it's like, come on, man. You've got the answers in the palm of your hand.
Versus the other. Let's go through some of these phenomena now and put them into context. First, let's just look at the celestial sphere. We look up and we...
Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and watch a Professor Dave video, but that's what most research consists of when people say, I did research flat Earth. They typed in why the Earth is not flat and just hit enter. Now, I know this. You know that you can read minds. Anyone can do it. So the people who are arguing about flat Earth all the time and trolling you and things like this, you can read their mind. You know one thing about them for certain. You definitely know one thing about them for certain. No ifs, ands, or buts. You know that they have never went out and done any observations themselves. They have never went out and actually set a camera up over resting water, put something out there, watched a boat, whatever, and put it next to the curvature math, which that always made me upset when people said 8 inches per mile squared is based off of a parabola, not a sphere. It's accurate up to 1,000 miles. So if you're doing any observations within 1,000-mile frame and you see something that's beyond the supposed horizon, the physical horizon that they say is there, then you've debunked the globe that curves at 8 inches per mile squared. That's simple. That's the most simple and easy thing. And look at the refraction index. If it's beyond that, you know that usually the observations that are made go far beyond what refraction could ever do. Anyway, far beyond the frozen lake experiment. Oh my gosh. That one is just dead to rights. Uniform temperature. It's in the dead winter. Snow on the ground. The lake is frozen. You've got uniform temperature. You've got lights extending out 8 miles. You got a camera 6 inches from the ice on the lake. And you see that light 8 miles away. What? That's insanity. That should be under like 30 feet of curvature or something crazy like that. Maybe more. I think 30 feet was at 1 foot. But down 6 inches? I don't even know. Please explain the black sun and its biblical reference. There is no biblical reference to the black sun, I don't believe. I'm not a black sun believer. I just asked because a follower of mine wanted to know about it. I think if you want to know my opinion on the black sun, I think it's a Masonic belief. I think it's a Luciferian belief. And you know how they got the checkerboard, the black and white? I believe that the Masons believe that the black sun is underneath the earth and it's projecting up the sun that we have. So symbolically, I think that means the darkness, the Lucifer, the underworld, is the source of the sun above. I don't know. I think it's more symbolic than anything, and I think it's a esoteric belief. It's a Luciferian idea. Black sun, I've never seen anything biblically about the black sun ever. I don't have a good feeling about the black sun. Like whenever I'm thinking about it and I see things on it and hear things about it, I mean, I'm off put by it. I just wanted to ask ChatGPT to see what it would say. But I'm definitely not a black sun believer. Not into that. To clarify, which at the end of that video, it says words come up on the screen about my opinion on on that. Oh gosh, a lot of YouTube comments have come in. Hopefully we got some questions and stuff that I can interact with here. Love me some 7 Club. Yeah. Thank you, it's flat. Awesome. Tristan says, right, but it suspends the balls in the air, counteracting the gravity of the Earth. It's connected to the Earth, man. It's flat. I bet you believe the Foucault's pendulum is proof of gravity too, but it's connected to the Earth as well. Isolate the same way buildings isolate gravity by standing. No, that's not what isolation means. Isolation in an experiment means that you've eliminated all other factors, that only the thing you have isolated can be manipulated and used, right? In that experiment. Isolation means taking out every other possibility. Now, did I show you, and we'll go back to it real quick so I can show you. I'm going to show you these, okay? Now, I implore you, if that's the right verbiage, to look into these, brother. You know, I don't think you're a troll whatsoever. I don't get that energy from you at all. I think you're an honest person who's just here, you know, looking into the truth with us. But I'll tell you, read through these. An electrostatic solution for the gravity force and the value of G. Morton F. Spears. Okay, he dedicated his life to this research. He passed away in 2006, and his daughter in 2010 finally published his writings, you know, and they were from 1997, some of these. But he was just a physicist, you know, that did a lot of experiments, and his daughter kind of carried on his research, and she goes to, I can't remember the school, but anyway, I thought that was neat. And then gravity as the second order relativistic manifestation of electrostatic force. Read into this one too. But most importantly, and I think this is the one that really just is the slayer, the end all, is electrostatic time dilation. Because remember, the electrostatic gradient in the atmosphere, these things were tested up next to each other. So they would introduce, on a horizontal plane, they would introduce the electrostatic potential that would be at certain altitudes. And it matched the general relativistic prediction of what the atomic clock would give at those altitudes. Now, super interesting stuff, man. Just please look into it. You won't be disappointed. Because look, man, this experiment here, okay? Those are atomic clocks, as is. They had them on the plane. This is in the 70s, man. They didn't think to isolate the clock from all other possible variables that could give them different results, like electrostatics, or even the sun. Being within the sun's light could cause cesium to have a higher resonance frequency. You know? That's proven stuff. That's proven. In time dilation, we're talking about one thing. It is the resonance frequency of cesium. So it oscillates at 9 billion, 192 million, 631,770 oscillations per second. And that's uniform. So right here on ground level, being grounded, that's its resonance frequency, its baseline. Okay? Then they introduce other things on a horizontal plane, like this. They introduce, with the electrostatic wand, the potential, right? Causing cesium to oscillate faster. That's the same thing that it would do at altitude, right? When you're counting that, when you're counting oscillation, dude, and you're not isolating from electrostatic potential, when you're not isolating from a electromagnetic, it's an electromagnetic phenomenon itself. That should be the answer to your question. Resonance frequency is an electromagnetic phenomenon. The atoms themselves are electromagnetic. It's something that's happening at the quantum level, right? And it's scaled up as well. So think about that. They say, and Einstein's they try to get you by saying the atomic clocks matched what Einstein predicted. But that's not the case. Look, I'll show you what Einstein freaking predicted. I've got it right here. Hold on. Here's what Einstein said. Hold on. All right. Let me blow this up a little bigger. Get bigger. Okay, let's read this together. Look. None of Einstein's ideas have so fascinated the public and provoked such controversy among physicists as the so-called clock paradox of the major predictions of the great physicist's special theory of relativity. That was a general theory of relativity, but the paradox is based on the assumption that time passes more slowly for an object in motion than one at rest. This is Time magazine, I guess. Thus, if Einstein was correct, an astronaut traveling at extreme high speeds, say to a distant star and back, would age less during his trip than a twin brother who had remained on Earth, depending on the length of his mission. The astronaut could, upon his return, actually be years younger than his twin. Aging slowly. Man has not yet advanced far enough to technology to stage such a test of relativity, but physicist Joseph C. Halfely of Washington. See, they have a bunch of details wrong in this. Hold on a second. I thought time moved. I thought Einstein's prediction, and they say special relativity instead of general. But this is what pulled up when I went looking for all Einstein said. He didn't predict any cesium oscillations or the amount of nanoseconds stuff would be. He didn't predict anything like that. He just said time would move differently at different gravitational fields. I mean, that's all he really proposed. He may have had some equations in it, but I assure you, it wasn't in the framework of cesium. Because, hold on. Let's see when atomic clocks were invented. When were atomic clocks invented? Okay, atomic clocks. History. Okay, here we go. Scottish physicist proposed measuring time with vibrations of light waves, electromagnetic, in his 1873 electricity. Oh my God. And it gets better. Ah! Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Good God. Lord. We gotta think. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. You're awesome. Oh, I love when this stuff happens. Man, I love when this stuff happens. This is what real-time research looks like. It's fun. Anyway, Scottish physicist James Clerk Maxwell proposed measuring time with the vibrations of light waves in his 1873 treatise, or whatever, on electricity and magnet. I'm going to just highlight this. Electricity and magnetism. A more universal unit of time might be found by taking the periodic time of vibration of the particular kind of light, whose wavelength is unit of length. Maxwell argued that this would be more accurate than the Earth's rotation, which defines means of solar second for timekeeping. During the 1930s, the American physicist built equipment for atomic beam magnetic resonance. Ooh, there's that word. Magnetic resonance frequency clocks. The accuracy of mechanical, electromechanical, and quartz clocks is reduced by temperature fluctuations, yada, yada, yada. So, let's see, when was the first one made? He proposed the concept in 1945. Okay, that's long after Einstein, which led to demonstration of a clock based on ammonia in 1949, which is far beyond Einstein as well. Practical accurate atomic clocks with cesium atoms. Okay, this is the one that actually did something with time dilation, so to speak. The atomic clock, which was 1955. See, there you go. And then it wasn't actually used in a general relativistic experiment until the 70s. So here we go. 1955 was our current clock. So yeah, Einstein wasn't predicting like the actual down to the number. So when someone says it was off 40 billionths of a second, just as Einstein predicted, it's like, no, he didn't though. He didn't even know what measuring that would look like in 1905. It wasn't even proposed till 1873, which was just talking about electromagnetic energy, talking about measuring light wave frequency. All right. Which was around the time that science still had somewhat integrity. But then not short after that, they tested the Earth's motion, came back, it's not moving. Then had the idea of testing time dilation in the 70s. So yeah, it's crazy how science does that. They're like, just as Einstein predicted, you know? And it's like, no, it's not just as he predicted. He said somebody would be older if they stayed on Earth versus somebody going to space. Which, what? Why are we getting contradictions here? I always thought time moved faster the higher up you got out of the gravitational field. We've got to look into that. Does time move faster or slower in gravitational fields? According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, time moves slower in higher gravitational fields. That's what I thought. So that article had everything backwards. The Time magazine article. How and why can they publish things like this? They're saying special relativity, which is the wrong theory. Then they're saying that Einstein was correct. An astronaut traveling at extreme high speeds say that a distant star would age less during his trip. No, he would age more. He would age more in their frame of belief as he's leaving Earth. Then the closer he got to that star in their frame of belief, yeah, he would start to slow down. But that's not reality, you guys. It's literally the electrostatic energy. Oh my gosh. All right, I got to start reacting to comments and stuff, you guys. I'm getting on it right now, I promise. Optimic Prime said, who's going to verify that for Einstein? Right. Jeez. Let's get some people through that firmament. One good time. Yeah, I'd say, guys, it's already proven, right? Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, 66 feet, right? He's a Mason. Man. Okay, Catherine says, man, I tried to think of something interactive to say, ask, but come up with empty. I just love this show. Awesome. Thank you. I love you. Do wish there was a forum/Discord or some way to talk with you directly and uncensored. There actually is, Catherine Mitchell. So if you guys go to, if you're on my YouTube, go, Oh, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus. Oh my gosh, guys. Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I want to tell you real quick. There is, and I'll get to you, Catherine. I will, I promise. There is power in the name of Jesus, period. I want you to try this. I'm not kidding you. Somebody told me this, and I tried it, and I was like, what? It works. It works. It works. Period. It works. So do you guys ever get tinnitus where all of a sudden your ear just starts ringing and it's like, and you can hear it, right? Dude, bam. I just got tinnitus and it was ringing so loud in my ear. I said the name of Jesus and it disappeared. I kid you not. And it was so weird because I was talking about sleep paralysis demons and how they've attacked me in the past. And I've had actual demons in my room freaking. And I used the name of Jesus and they disappear. And everything, all the fear leaves the room, all the terror, all the dread and evil leaves the room with them, right? Because they bring that with them. It's not even your own terror, your own dread, and your own fear. They bring it and you can cut it with a knife, right? So I said, Jesus, they leave. Alien abduction stories. People who say that they seen grays at the foot of their bed and they're probing them in the that's a real thing. Like people have been probed. Like they really got SA'd is what they got by these demons, right? Well, the name of Jesus makes them leave too. I kid you not. Tinnitus. If your ear starts ringing out of nowhere, say the name of Jesus. Speak that name. I'm telling you. And it just closes up and disappears. I've done it 3 times in a row now. Because I heard someone say that's what they do. And it works. And by God, it works. It works. So awesome. Okay, now, Catherine, back to your question. Now, I have a Patreon. Okay? It's in my description below. You can click my Patreon. I have a Discord that is, it's empty. I have one person that can join it. They just haven't yet. So, like, you get in early. I mean, you're going to be one of the first people. I just started my Patreon. I've always been weird about asking, people for support and stuff, but I do want to take this full time at some point, and I have put a lot into this. So I would like to quit my small businesses. I'd like to stop spending so much time on those and do this more, So yeah, I got a Patreon and there's some perks with it. I haven't made any exclusive content, even though people ask for that, but it's like, I feel weird about putting stuff behind a paywall. I can't really do that, but I do plan on having merch soon. I bought a Cricut so I can make some, make some t-shirts, But yeah, my Patreon. So if you do become a member on my Patreon, you will get a link to a private Discord where you can chat with me throughout the day. So, and I'm going to do one that's voice as well. So as the channel grows, if I get more Patreon supporters, I do want to do my lives in a more group fashion, group stream, to where we got Discord voice and I pull that up on my computer and we're in Discord chatting while we're live. Or when I end a live, I'll say, okay, those of you who are on my Discord, let's go have a chat on Discord and we'll pop over there. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. Like I said, I'm new to this professional content creator thing. I'm not a professional content creator. I'm not a professional channel. I'm just trying to be one. And then maybe one day it'd be cool to hire a producer. It'd be cool to hire somebody to run all this stuff. Because if you saw what I've seen right now, I got 3 computer screens. I got one for my chat, one for what I'm doing here that you see. And then I got one for editing. And it's like, it's a lot to run a stream by yourself. It kind of sucks, actually. But yeah, it blows, actually. If you click on 7 Club's TikTok profile, you'll see his link tree. Click the link tree and go to my YouTube and follow me there. That's where I'm building. I'm trying to build my YouTube, dudes. I also stream on TikTok, which those of you YouTubers, you know that. That's where I got my start. X, I comment there, or I post there here and there. Not very much, but YouTube's really my main spot now. I was sitting alone in my room. Now I'm hanging with real thinking people on this nice day. Awesome, Rob Shark. That's awesome that we can be that for you today. You know, I always say, let's re-revolutionize the entertainment industry. Let's support each other. Listen, if you guys want to support me and my channel, awesome. If not, I still implore you to support someone in the truth community that is dedicating their life to this. You know, me, whatever. I'm hope to be able to dedicate all my time to this one day. Not yet. It's not looking like it's going to work out. Now, it is tax time, so I won't have to do as much toward my business aspect of life, going out and making that bread. So tax time is more relaxed, so I can stay home, do some streams, make some content, stuff like that, which is super cool. But yeah, one day it's going to be full force. I'd love to be someone who this is my career, just doing streams, researching, because that's really what takes the most time. Like this live today that we did with the gravity and stuff, it took about a week and a half of research before I was ready to do it. But it wouldn't have taken that long. It took a week and a half because I did also work and had drama practice. I'm also a pastor, a youth pastor. I'm on the drama team. I'm on the praise and worship team. I'm also in a band. I also do this content stuff, and used to be a substance abuse counselor and peer support specialist also, but I quit that job to do my power washing and maintenance jobs and stuff like that. So I do have my hands in a lot of buckets. I'm wearing a lot of hats in life, but I want to narrow my life down to doing more of this, because you know what? My favorite channels on YouTube, I can't get enough of their videos. And my favorite channels, I would be upset if like I scroll through on my subscription and I don't see videos from them. I get sad, you know. So one day, hopefully I can support one of my favorite channels and make sure that they keep doing what they do. This stuff's discouraging. You know, I will say kudos to the truthers. Kudos to any flat earth or any kind of controversial content creation, because I'll tell you what, if your channel looks good, if you do have time to stream and you're doing this thing for real, I commend you, because the platform is not going to take care of you. The platform isn't going to make sure that, you know, food's on your table and that you're able to spend all your time doing this. And yeah, they just push you down the algorithm and make it to where the only time you're really seen is when people share your stuff, and they'll censor your stuff. They'll just make it a headache for you. You're trying to get to a certain point. You know, some of the successful YouTubers, successful like flat earth YouTubers, they've been working at this for years to get where they're at, man. And it's all word of mouth and stuff, because the algorithm hates you guys. So YouTubers, I mean, hats off to you. This is very hard to grow a channel versus TikTok was actually pretty easy. TikTok, the algorithm actually likes us. Not anymore, not much anymore. But when I started a year and 8 months ago, TikTok hadn't really censored Flat Earth as bad as most places. So, but yeah, now it's a little different. YouTube silences most of the cool stuff from the commenters. I know. Exactly. And the live field is too small and moves too fast for me to use, not even considering my personal war with autocorrect. Ah, right. Research or just type, is the earth flat into Google and be sent laughing at flat earth as shown. Back to your heliosexual ball. Excellent. Yeah, I know, right? All the algorithms are geared toward the globe. I mean, they all support the globe. No, he was saying time moves differently at different speeds. No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he does say that. But it's not even about the speed, though. The speed had nothing to do with it. Maybe a little. But see, I'm thinking the reason they didn't put their details out there is because one was opposite, the sun or the earth's spin, but I say the sun, and one was with it. So why couldn't that have been the electromagnetic frequency of the sunlight or the electrostatic potential in the atmosphere? It was that, right? So speeds, that altitude makes it here. We'll ask real quick. Does altitude alone affect atomic clocks? We'll see what Google says. I just want to see what Google says. It says, yes, altitude affects atomic clocks as well. Because I believe that it's just the altitude. Now, if they're doing it in a plane, the plane's going to be moving because a plane can't get to altitude without moving. But I'm interested to see what the results are from a helicopter and at different positions relative to the sun. I'm curious, with those other experiments I showed you. I'd be pretty curious, right? They're talking about about special relativity, not general. No, what do you, I don't know what you're referring to. That was at 11:08. It's 11:27. Yeah, in this, I know. I realize that. This article has it all wrong. They had everything wrong. They had everything was wrong in this Time magazine article, which makes me really worried for who their reporters are. If they're writing an article about special relativity and gravity's effect on atomic clocks and how time moves slower in less gravitational field, they had everything wrong in this. So I'll agree. Yeah, they did. Time moves slower once you reach that magical point where the atmos doesn't get sucked into the vacuum of space, right? It worked. What worked, Catherine? I think we're behind. I watched that happen in real time. Oh yeah, they finding that piece of research. I know, right? Isn't that cool? Let's see. He says, and or links he may have added there. Yep, all kinds of links there. Optimic Prime. It's good to see you, Optimic Prime. It says you're a #1 badge. You got a #1 badge. Now, I don't know what that means, but you're #1 in my world, my friend. Optimic Prime, I want to say real quick, man, I appreciate you. And, you've been here. You've been around since the very beginning. You've been here since the birth of this channel when I was just a young buck, man. and I was just trying to make some videos and get the word out there. And I've always seen you around, man. You're good. You're a good dude too. You've always given me support and love, and I love that, man. I'm so invoking the name of Jesus the next time that sudden ringing happens to me. Yeah, do it and watch it explode. Also, TikTokers, if you want to subscribe to the channel, don't you know that I'm always going to be on TikTok? I'm always going to be going live on TikTok simultaneously as my YouTube. So the perk that I give TikTok subscribers initially, sometimes, most of the time, is that if you're on my TikTok and you're subscribed, you'll definitely get that notification. You see, nobody gets notified that I'm live anymore. No one gets notified that I'm posted anymore, and no one sees me on their FYP hardly anymore on TikTok. That hurts, especially knowing that it didn't used to be that way. So something has gotten me completely shadow banned in every way. So one perk, if you definitely don't want to miss my lives, the subscribers definitely see me go live immediately, because they're always the first to jump in. Also, my streams, I'll go live a little bit before I go live on YouTube. So I'll hang out with the TikTok crew. We'll chat a little bit, hang out. And then usually I like to do a subscriber only at the end of my lives. I'm not going to be able to do it today because I'm running out of time, but that's another perk that TikTok subscribers will get. I try to do the perks thing because it's suggested when doing this kind of stuff. But I think it's stupid, honestly. And if it came down to it, you're going to have perks anyway. If I'm not that guy where I'm just going to say, I'm not going to be your friend unless this. That's retarded. Sorry, TikTok, for saying that word. Hopefully they don't ban me for that. But, I find family in this community. I got friends that have my phone number and things like that. We do that. I'm not tripping on any of that. I thought it was cringy seeing those people who one of their perks in their store was, we'll do a 15-minute Zoom call for $50 or something like that. Oh, that's weird to me. Then you're saying that your presence is deserving of I will not talk to you personally or read your comments or do anything unless there's money involved. I'll never be that, so don't worry. Oh, that'll be a little hint. If it ever comes to that, maybe if it ever comes to me like only interacting with then please consider me freaking compromised, basically. All right, cool. It's going to take some finagling because the phone is ancient technology, but we will get there. Yeah. On their tube, my comments don't seem to be censored in chats as they are in regular comments. The platform is not flat earth content friendly. They took that to Congress. You know that? That YouTube, they were talking about actually censoring flat earth. Wow, I didn't get the notification you were on, bro. Oh yeah, is YouTube doing it to me now too? Great. Of course they will. It's their tube, not YouTube. It is their tube. You're right. I thought that was a typo at first, but I was like, no, he knows what he's doing. It is their tube, isn't it? Very true. It's flat. It is, Trace. Magic. Magic gravity, right? One of my close friends is scared of coming out about flat earth because he's scared of his girlfriend thinking he's weird. Well, LJ, the cool thing about girlfriends and wives and stuff like that is you've actually got time to talk to them. I've got friends, people in my life also who they see it, but they wouldn't dare endure the mockery that comes with it. Me, I just don't care. I don't care. You can mock me, but at the end of the day, who's really laughing though? You know what I mean? Maybe we are lonely, Gary. You know, at the end of the day, though, we know the truth. And one day, I think everyone will know that the earth is not what we've been told. Church of the Flat Earth says, you have a lot more followers than you know. Well, how's that? YouTube is the slowest growing place ever. And really it's more about why is it so easy to get the word out on a platform if the word you're trying to get out is absolute nonsense. But then you go to talk about the truth, and all of a sudden, they just push you down at the bottom. They hide it. They cover it up. They blacklist you in this shadow ban world that has no violations really attached to it. You know, you're not really, you found a way to kind of get around, what do you call it? Community guidelines, violations. You found a way to get around that. Well, then they do what's called shadow banning you, which is without any warnings, without any violations of community guidelines. They push you out. It's crazy. Well, happy Saturday. What's up, Irish Peach? 7 deck. Then she magnetic. Oh, then the magnetic be the right match for him. Then she magnet be the right match for him. Might not. Well, you know, with so my wife, she's a flat earther, right? Like me. She's just not as passionate about it. She's like, well, you handle it well. Like you're doing the thing, you're handling that well. She's like, I just don't feel that's my calling. See, I knew. And most of you guys who are making flat earth content and loud and proud about it and all that, you knew. Because every day you didn't like start making content and spreading this word about God's true creation, every day you didn't, you felt a little more empty inside. And you're just withering away. And it's like you feel this purpose, you know this purpose, and you're neglecting it out of pride and fear and whatever else, you know, or inability to understand like how to go about it or just whatever else. Mostly fear, man. I'm just be real with you. A lot of people are just afraid. They're afraid to talk about it. And I mean, I can't say I don't understand. I understand. You know, I was for a while. But then one day I was just like, you know what? So what? Let's just get on the right side of history now. And then they'll catch up. I can't believe I had to look it up. Chokman means wisdom. Oh, that's awesome. It's on my vocabulary study list, and I had to Google it. Oh, that's cool. Chokma. That's right. Cool. Flat Earth, or Church of Flat Earth, says, I watch all the time, but only subscribe today. I suspect there are many more similar. Well, that's awesome, man. Thanks for the subscription. It means a lot. Every single one of them counts. Flat Earth is the biggest censored topic in the world. LJ. It's one of the biggest, yes. Now, you know what I think is actually the biggest, though, censored topic in the world? Is smiled smafficking. The smiled smafficking sming that Smeffrey Smepstein was a smart of. And we live in a smurled where smilitical smiggers like Smillery Slinton can be a part of Sminner National Smiled Smafficking Smings and not get locked up. Like, I don't understand how these, and I hope you picking up what I'm putting down. I can't say words. But smiled smafficking. Hopefully the AI doesn't catch what I'm saying and sman me. But that's the one that I lost my first account talking about on TikTok. It just disappeared. No warning, no nothing. It just gone. Just gone. They removed it. Yeah. And we live in a world where that was all addressed at one point, but then no one's been tried. No one's been locked up. Just in that one little area of Smeffrey Smepstein. All those Smeeple on the Smite logs didn't get smosecuted for their criminal scactions. It's crazy. Content creators feature you regularly. I've seen you on Barry, Ted, Perky, Mod Tricka, Codex Reacts, and others. Wow, cool, Catherine. That's awesome. I am very privileged. Barry is awesome. Barry, I found his channel because he was actually debunking one of my videos. But I rebunked it, and he was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then we became buddies. But yeah, so Ted's my friend. Ted's my friend. We talk all the time. See, Ted was brand new. Ted and Sackhead were brand new to content creation on TikTok. He just hit the scene. Of course, it was a brainchild that Ted and Sackhead had been working on for a minute. And then all of a sudden, he starts putting videos out. And I'm like, hey, Ted, look, man, you got something real special here, bro. You better never give up. You're going to explode. And he's exploding. Dude, his channel's growing so fast. He makes such awesome content. Which, I don't know. I picture Ted does all the editing and stuff. Maybe Sackhead helps. I don't know. Ted seems like the more creative one to me, but LJ says, I think people are scared of getting fired from their jobs. Oh, I know people who have. I know an astronomer who got fired from her job for being for having flat earth content on TikTok. Fired over TikTok. Yeah. We live in a smurled. We do. 7 Club. Loved your short about the Space Force hat. Yeah. When a problem comes along, you must flip it. Then you notice something wrong when you flip it. Hey now, flip it good. It's demonic, you sick idiot. I know what video you're talking about exactly. Here, let's flip it good real quick. So the Space Force hat, one of them, the one that was sold at Walmart, you flip it over, and it's a Baphomet head. These cultists. Violation warning. Your live is flagged for hate speech and hateful behaviors. Repeated violations could result in your live being discontinued. Was it because I said the R word earlier, or was it the smiled smafficking smings? I don't know. You can't even say stuff. What are your thoughts on Fittest Flat Earthers channel? He's got some good stuff. Well, Fittest Flat Earther is my buddy. His name's Tyler. And we haven't talked much lately, but I do love the guy. So he hit me up. And he said, man, you got some great videos. Can you teach me TikTok's editor? And I gave him a couple pointers. Then he took off, man. Exploded. Do I agree with each and every single thing? No. But I don't agree with each and every single thing from anybody. Because if you do that, then you might be in a cult or something. I don't know. You just shouldn't. You should take every good idea and use it. You should not trust any man with your whole heart and soul. You should never trust anybody with your full heart and soul. You should always think critically, and you should always take the best of every little piece, you know, and put together your own opinion. You know, do your own research. Think on your own, right? So that's what I do. And remember, if we're flat earthers and we base our reality on demonstrable reality, and we're all about the proof and the facts. That's why we believe the earth is flat, because the evidence stacks up in that, you know, in that way. Right? And the Bible, the reason we believe in the Bible is because the evidence of the Bible, it stacks up in its favor. You know, just the cross references over 1,500 years time and is amazing itself. But like, so then when it comes to other things, you know, look at the evidence provided. Think about it. Think about it. I've been a flat earther since, Gary says, I've been a flat earther since 2015, man. OG flat earther right there. That's awesome, man. So you was flat earth hit you on the first wave. Wasn't 2015 or 14 one of the big first waves here recently? Not first wave ever, because people have always known the earth was flat, but first wave of social media. Yeah. It being a social media topic. In an online debate. Okay. So guys, I do got to wrap it up. It's kind of dwindling down. Usually I don't stay on, or I mean, no. No, it's about right. About 2 hours is what I typically stream. That's the thing about flat earthers. They actually changed their mind based on new evidence. Weird, huh? See, that's the cool thing about this journey we call life, you know. A lot of time, Jesus. Immediately left. Tinnitus came back in my ear for a second. And I said Jesus and it disappeared. Jesus. 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 3 times, man. Magical. All right. Anyway, a lot of the times the first step to being right is that we got to admit that we're wrong. You know, kind of like with finding out about flat Earth. You know, you believed it was a globe your whole life. Well, the first step to being correct is first admitting that you've been wrong for a while. You know, that's a hard hit to the pride. You don't want to be duped. You know, you don't want to admit you've been duped. That's a big thing too. A lot of people don't want to admit that they were fooled. They do say, and this might be true, that it's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they've been fooled. And that's the thing about being deceived. The moment you find out you're deceived, you're no longer deceived. You'll never catch yourself being deceived. You know? Because the moment you realize it, it's like, oh, you're no longer deceived. Isn't that something magical? It's like trying to catch the end of a rainbow or a leprechaun. It's like a dog chasing its tail. You know, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Think about that. That's kind of paradoxical in itself. You can't ever check yourself being deceived. You can't ever catch yourself being deceived. Once you realize, oh wait, you're snapped out of it now. All right. Now, I am not endorsed by these people, but I'm about to do a little commercial, and I got to make an actual TikTok about it. Do your own research on this too, but I'll give you a little secret. You ever heard of this? I don't want them to think they're getting free advertisement or anything. Because honestly, I will take, if my channel grows, if I get a lifetime supply of this, I'll promote it. For real. Neurogum. Have you guys heard of Neurogum? It's a nootropic. It's like a energy and focus supplement. And it's advertised as a dietary supplement. So we all know the taste of mint and chewing gum will help curb your appetite. Like if you're trying to lose weight and stuff like that, which is cool. Whatever. Drinking a lot of water. Switch your soda and tea for just spring water. Some good spring waters I found is one called Origin, one called Deer Park is really good, and then Ozarks water, which you may not have that in your area. I have it because I live in Missouri. But powered by natural caffeine. So this Neurogum stuff, it's got vitamin B, actually B12 and 6, I believe. Yeah, B12, B6. B12 and B6. It's got L-theanine, which is the big active ingredient that people are all excited about. It's got natural caffeine. It's just 2 pieces. A serving size will give you, what is it? How much caffeine? Not much. It's not even quite a cup of coffee, but it gives you that a kick. You feel it, you know. But also, it actually does hone in your focus. Now, I fell for the whole alpha brain thing. Okay, I used to kind of watch Joe Rogan's podcast here and there, and I'll admit, I fell for the alpha brain thing. I bought a bottle of them, was very disappointed. And then for TikTok, I caved on the TikTok shop because I seen the Neurogum stuff. You know what sold me on it? In fact, I'm going to take a couple pieces right now. What actually sold me on the Neurogum? Well, for one, it does taste great. What sold me on this was I was looking into musicians and music producers who chew neurogum. And of course, public speakers, podcasters, whatever. But it was the music production, songwriting, stuff like that. Initially, it says it's peppermint, right? It's a good peppermint kick, but it reminds me of polar ice. So it kind of tastes like a peppermint mixed with, I don't know, but it is delicious. Downside, loses its flavor really fast and becomes like almost nicotine gum chewy. It doesn't have any like medicine taste to it. It's not like you would expect. It tastes just like gum, right? Now, first time chewing it, it's gonna kick you. Oh, Jessica. Yeah, usually I see your face in the comments early. Peace, love, light, happiness for all. 2016, Church of Flat Earth says, I started a YouTube video I watched, asked a poll on the scale of 1 to 7, how sure are you that Earth is flat? I said 6. After that, I asked myself, what would have made it a 7? I said, if it's in the Bible. Bam. 7 out of 7. I like that you used that word, 7, that number. Okay. Back to this. I'll tell you, I didn't chew this before the podcast, but when I'm getting into the lab, I'm going into the stewed, I'm getting ready to track guitar or start making keyboard lines, putting synths in my music, writing a new guitar riff, doing stuff like that. I grab me 2 pieces of neurogum, pop them in. I did extensive research on this before I didn't even buy it. Honestly, TikTok sent me a whole thing of it. I still have to do a commercial on it, and I'm going to. But I looked into this. I looked for bad reviews. That's what if I'm researching something like this, I don't care about the good reviews right now. I mean, you're going to find a bunch of that crap, especially with advertising stuff and trying to market something that's crap. Especially something like this, supposed nootropic, right? I don't fall for that stuff easy anymore after my little rendezvous with Alpha Brain. Okay? That stuff was garbage. This, though, is different. This actually does what it says it does. So go look for bad reviews on neurogum and try it. I mean, if you see a pack somewhere, pick it up, whatever. If you want to, I got to make my commercial on it, TikTok shop. You can get it from me. But if you want to be like a person who does it, whatever, I asked for a free sample. I was thinking I was going to get a pack of this stuff. The free sample they sent me was a case of this stuff. How many packs were in here? I don't remember. Oh, 12. Dude, they sent me 12 packs. And I got 2 left. I chewed the crap out of this stuff. Before I got up and spoke anywhere or before I started messing with the guitar, I've written tons of songs. It does give you that boost. It does curb your appetite. It does work as the dietary supplement, as it says. But most importantly, it'll make you zone in on stuff. Like, it'll make you zone in and focus. It's not, don't expect to, like, get a rush from it. Don't expect to, like, feel like, but do expect to have a very calming, focused mood. It's a calming focus. It's not like a jitter. There's no jitter to it. It's not even enough caffeine to give you jitters. There is 0 caffeine effects. So you do have a calm, steady, kind of coasting energy on it, I will say. And those of you who have tried NeuroGum, you know what I'm talking about. Nobody says anything negative about it. So it is what it is. And I stand by stuff that works. I like it. I'm probably going to get some more, honestly. And you get used to the taste, and it's like, this is what I expect gum to taste like now, honestly. But anyway, I love all y'all. Please, if you guys do so find it in your hearts and souls, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do find it so in your hearts and souls, become a Patreon. I really do want to get this Discord rolling and stuff too. That'd be super cool. All right. I will catch you guys on the flip. Yeah, exactly. That's support too, y'all. I'll try. I chew. Awesome. Yeah, you can become a member without being a paid member. You don't have to, like, the pay, that's something that if you guys do want to toss me a little monthly support, that's on you. I definitely doesn't make a difference either way. I just do want to do this full time at some point. So if you can, you can. If you can't, hey, support comes in all different ways, shapes, and forms. You know, sharing the content, obviously, subscribing, obviously, trying to do something toward getting the algorithm to push us a little bit. Talking about it, word of mouth. I'll have some merch too at some point. I'm just, honestly, just figuring out this thing. I don't know. It's a Cricut, so it's not going to be real extravagant merch. It's not going to be super fancy. But I get enough simple stuff out there, then I got some really cool ideas for some more cool merch. I got an idea that, I just have to make it into a shirt. But I can't tell people about it because I promise you, the idea will get stolen if I ever talk about it publicly. Because it's just that good of an idea for a shirt. You know a good idea when you see one, right? Tinfoil fat factory. Tinfoil hat factory had the coolest idea ever. And look where it went. I'm going to order one of those hats, actually. Yeah. It's just a hat that says tinfoil on it. It's genius. All right. I really do got to go. Love, like, share, comment. I forget to say that. Every time. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Do your thing. Even after the video posts. Comment on it. Go comment on it. Oh, crap. I got to get better at liking my favorite YouTube videos. Because it doesn't matter. You can love the video. You can watch it multiple times. But do you ever click? No. No, you don't. Because I don't. And I know how it is. Sometimes your YouTube videos you watch, you're not hands-free. You know what I mean? A lot of the time. I got my earbuds in. I got my phone on the table. I'm doing dishes. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. So I'm rarely ever hands-free. So I get it. But if you're hands-free, hit that button. Hit it. All right, guys. Oh, no. Too many violations on TikTok. All right. I will see you guys later on TikTok. I never end TikTok first. All right, YouTube. You were here for the long haul. That's never a thing. Usually I end my YouTube stream and then TikTok. But, adios, y'all. Adios, y'all.